All right, and welcome to Freedom Gulch podcast. We are live with a few Freedom Gulch contributors. This is the fourth installment. We'll be talking about various issues such as Rand Paul dropping out, supposed libertarians for Ted Cruz, Austin Petersen campaign being hacked, Texas LP straw poll pay for play, local and state elections versus national elections in terms of Libertarian Party. And how about legalizing sex work? We got Michael Pickens with us today.
Hey, how's it going?
We got Mark Anderson. And we got Joshua Huffman.
Hello.
And we got Andy Bucker. And myself, Will Hammer. So let's go ahead and get into it. What do y'all want to talk about first?
Dude, Rand dropping out.
All right, well, that's the big news. Rand Paul I thought it was out of left field. He got, what did he get, fourth place or something?
He got
5%.
fifth place.
Fifth place. He got 5%.
Man.
And
that was worse than what Ron Paul did back in 2008.
Or 2012, yeah.
Way worse than 2012. Ron Paul got, what, 22 or 21% in 2012? Yeah.
I didn't see it coming, though. I thought he was going to, even if he was going to get fourth and fifth place, I thought he was going to stick around, at least see what happens in New Hampshire. You know, with New Hampshire having a little bit of a libertarian streak in them, I thought that, he may stay around at least through New Hampshire. It's only a week later.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. I figured he'd stick in at least through Nevada, actually, because Ron Paul did exceedingly well in Nevada last time he ran. Well, actually, the first two times. Really, the only thing I can think is the fact that a Democratic candidate has announced that he's running against Rand Paul for Senate, and maybe he wanted to shore up his base to make sure he could retain his Senate seat.
Yeah, the Democrat that's running against him has a lot of money. That's my understanding. And they're going to put up a big fight against him. So, but anyways, it's a great thing for the Libertarian Party. That's for sure.
Yeah, we got to welcome in those Rand Paul bots, right? Come on to the LP.
Not all of them are coming over. Some of them are going to write in Rand Paul, and that's probably fine if they stay over there. But there are some libertarians that are coming back over into the Libertarian Party. There's a small amount that left the Libertarian Party to go support Rand, and now they're coming back. Actually, we've got a couple of them running for local office here in Washington State rep seats. So as libertarians, not as Liberty Republicans, which is
That's
big.
Great. Well, I wonder how many people, libertarians have declared their independence, like prominent libertarian commentators have done recently. If you know I'm referring to prominent libertarian commentators and.
Isn't Remzo supporting Cruz now or something?
Yeah. That's going to be our segue into supposed libertarians for Ted Cruz, such as Glenn Beck, who identifies as a libertarian, and I don't even want to put Remzo up there because he's really barely, and he's not prominent at all. But just because we, we were associated with him and got to know him a little bit, is this kind of. I don't understand. Do y'all understand the draw of Ted Cruz as being a libertarian?
Not at all.
Nope.
I do. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand where some people are coming from. I mean, that they're within the framework of the Republican Party, they're looking for something that sounds sort of vaguely liberty-ish, and of course here is Ted Cruz. Now, of course. I would say that he's done some good liberty things. He's done a lot of not so good liberty things. But, it's a very sort of, when it comes to the liberty movement, it's very shallow in the Republican Party these days. So, that's sort of grasping at what they figure is the last straw left, perhaps.
Well, what would you say is liberty-oriented or libertarian that Ted Cruz has done, other than maybe filibuster, I guess, the stop, government, whatever.
Some people like him for that. I mean, he was supporting audit the Fed, of course, and then didn't show up when it came time to vote. He was he wanted to do some sort of sentencing reforms, but I read an article today that he's flip-flopped on that and is now against it, so which isn't so good. But
This is what I see. He identifies as conservative. There's some libertarians that I know who identify as conservative, libertarian conservative, so they just attach the libertarian to it, and they're trying to label him as that to get more people to support him and to pull Ron Paul supporters over.
Yeah.
Which is, the media labeled Rand Paul, excuse me, not Ron Paul.
Well, as I mentioned to someone just today, of course, Ted Cruz does have Bob Barr working for him, and of course Bob Barr was the 2008 Libertarian Party candidate for president. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, they are reaching out. Whether or not it's successful is another question altogether.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mark? What do you think about Ted Cruz and supposed libertarians backing him?
I just don't see. I guess I can see what Joshua was saying, but somebody that is that socially conservative to pull in libertarians, that's a little hard for me to believe.
Well, do y'all think that he'll start being a little more libertarian in his message to try to draw the Rand Paul supporters and libertarians, people that just identify as libertarian? Do you think he'll actually try to tone down that social conservatism?
Well, according to the article I just read shortly before this, he's actually jettisoning some of his supposed libertarian rhetoric. Now that Rand Paul's out of the race because he no longer has to compete for this block of people. So it is possible that he will, move in a direction that's not very positive. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
But he also didn't receive the endorsement of Jerry Falwell Jr., which I was really surprised about, because usually whoever's a social conservative, they back. And so, do you think he's going to continue on that side, or do you think that he's, going to, like I said, go more towards libertarian because he's already not gotten that endorsement?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Rand Paul made it clear that he's not going to be endorsing anyone anytime soon. So Ted Cruz's best bet is to just pander to the Republican base, and he understands with all the poll numbers and everything else that the liberty vote in the Republican Party is tiny now compared to what it used to be. If we look at 2012 and 2008 with Ron Paul staying in the election all the way to the Republican National Convention hurt the Libertarian Party, and it hurt Gary Johnson big time, because it took all those supporters, those liberty supporters, and held them within the Republican Party until August. Now, with Rand Paul dropping out so early, it frees up all those voters and those supporters. So I think it's going to be big for us. This is going to be a very big election season for the Libertarian Party, and not just a presidential candidate, but down-ticket candidates as well. The state level, it's going to be huge.
What do you see the eventual Libertarian candidate getting? You said it's going to be a big election. What's a big number, do you think, for the LP in the national election?
A big number for the LP at the national level would be like 5%.
Do you think that's feasible, that the LP, whether it's Gary Johnson or Steve Crabell or John McAfee?
I do believe it's feasible. We actually have to get 5% of the vote in the presidential election here in Washington to become a major political party. So that's what we're pushing for. We have to get at least 5%. So we've increased our recruiting activities for statewide candidates, for state rep, state senate. And
how's it doing in Washington? How many candidates do you all have right now?
We've got a huge list of potential candidates. The ones that are filed right now are just a handful, and there's like 27 that are not filed that have committed, though. So we're going through the list, and there's new people coming on board every day.
I hope y'all make a big splash out there. Y'all have been building up momentum the last few years, so it's really good to see y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to comment briefly. Of course, if those who haven't seen it, Ron Paul recently weighed in on the remaining Republican candidates, and he pretty much said that there are none, in his mind, worthy of support. When it'll be interesting. Now, of course, some Ron Paul supporters are saying, yes, I like Ted Cruz or somebody else. I mean, there are some Trump people, there are some Sanders people out there. But, and it is, I think, quite possible that we may end up with both a Republican and a Democratic candidates that are have fairly high negatives. In which case, is it possible that we could see something like what we had in Virginia with sort of the 2013 Sarvis folks, where there was just sort of like, well, I don't like this guy, so well, maybe I'll cast my vote over here.
That's a good point. Like going back to Sarvis, we had two candidates that not many people liked, and so that really greatly benefited us, and we possibly could see that happen on the national level, and then we might be able to get that 5% threshold. Which what Michael was talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. It seemed very ambitious, 5%, but I don't know. I mean, like, of course, 1% is what's the highest the Libertarian candidates received thus far? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary in 2012.
Yeah, I mean, like, even 2%, of course, is a considerable jump, isn't it?
Yeah, it's doubling down, so I'll be great, but 5% will definitely make huge.
Oh, absolutely.
Bring the legitimacy towards the LP, definitely.
Yeah, if you have Trump versus Clinton, you have to think we're going to see a bump.
Oh, big time, yeah. Or Trump versus Bernie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
I actually think Bernie gets some of the civil libertarian vote if he's a nominee.
Well, funny story about Bernie, Joshua. Why don't you tell everybody where we were a few hours ago?
Well, sure. I went down to the Stanton headquarters of Bernie Sanders today, along with Mark Montoni, the Secretary of the State Party. And yeah, it was an interesting adventure. I mean, because Bernie's to the best of my knowledge, Bernie's the only presidential candidate who has an office in the Shenandoah Valley. So kudos to him for that. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Now, was that an official, or was that more of like a grassroots, like just some people throwing up a...
My understanding is it's just a grassroots thing. It's just his supporters in Stanton said, look, we want this thing. And the Sanders campaign said, okay, go at it. So,
yeah, they even had a website.
Yeah.
Was it StantonForBernie.org or something like that?
Something like that. I don't know. I'm sure you probably can Google it. But,
yeah. Yeah, it was interesting talking to them, and I guess at first they thought we were prospective people looking into supporting Bernie or whatever, but then they were actually pretty open to talking, discussing, and we had some good conversation. We were there for about an hour or so.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good experience. I mean, because there are areas where I'm sure we have areas of agreement, and others where, of course, we find totally off base, typically outside of the economic policy.
Hey, Mark, you got a lot of feedback coming from your microphone.
Oh, there we go.
I have a question. Did you say...
Oh, we lost him. We lost Andy.
I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
I'm here.
Speak.
Let me see if my...
I think you might need to check your settings, man. Remember we had some issues with your settings last time.
Am I better? Am I here?
Hey, Mark, you want to try and mute yourself and see if your audio's good?
All right.
Testing.
All right, sounds good. All right, so but yeah, we had a good discussion with the Bernie Sanders supporters, and of course, they're not going to really come around on economics and other things like that. But we did have some discussion with the social issues and even foreign policy. I was actually surprised to hear Mark, Mr. Libertarian himself, actually talk to them civilly. So.
I was gonna ask, did Mark open carry?
We actually had discussion about that before we got there.
I was actually wondering when I was driving down there separately if it's going to open carry.
Yeah, I didn't actually notice. I didn't even pay attention to that. Did you notice, Will?
I didn't notice.
Okay.
I didn't really go out my way to look because once I got there, I just kind of got focused on talking.
Yeah,
But I didn't notice it, so I don't think he did.
Okay.
Because they probably might have spazzed out about it if they did.
Well, this is Virginia. It's not like it's New York or Massachusetts or California or something.
That's true, but they are Bernie Sanders supporters, so they'd probably like to confiscate all the guns if they could.
Well, I think Bernie's better on guns than Hillary, but that's not really beyond the scope of our discussion.
Yeah, so let's get back to libertarian elections. What do you all say? Running state and local elections versus the national election. Which one do you think is more important? Or they both kind of play off each other, both help each other? National gives us some much needed eyes on our party. What do you say, Michael?
Yeah. If we're looking to get a libertarian elected to president, we first have to get libertarians elected to state office. That's my opinion on that. We're trying to run as many candidates as possible on the local level so we can boost up the presidential candidates' numbers. And if we have a choice between a giant douche and a turd sandwich, like it looks like it's playing out to be, we're going to have a really successful election year. But we've got to run local candidates and as many good candidates as possible.
Anybody else? Mark?
There's a couple candidates on this podcast too, right?
Not this year,
Former candidates.
Okay.
Yes.
I ran 2 years in a row. I don't know about 3, man. That's
Well, thank you.
You're good, man, Will.
I was talking to Stephen Nielsen, our state party chairman, and we were talking about it. And I think you should help recruit candidates. Help recruit, use your experience, be a campaign manager, right? Take a break, but at least support them, share that knowledge. I recruited the 12 candidates we had in 2014, but I only recruited one of the 17 candidates we had in 2015 because there were people who were trained up. They gained the experience and the knowledge. Now they're able to recruit other people. So as long as we come in with the attitude that there's some skills out there that we got to learn, and once we learn these skills, we pass them on to other people, then we're just going to continue to grow. That's a
very good point. Instead of running once and done and not really ever working on campaigns or elections anymore, you need to stay in the game, so to say, and continue your knowledge, your experience, and pass that along. And I'm definitely thinking about trying to see if I can recruit somebody to run against Bob Goulet in the 6th Congressional District. I'm not aware of anybody. Maybe Joshua might know, but I'm not aware of anybody that's planning to run against Bob Goulet on the LP ticket. Do you know anybody, Joshua?
I don't, but I do want to make sure that, as mentioned, of course, actually at the Sanders headquarters, it's important. I'd say actually imperative for the folks here in the Shenandoah Valley to make sure that Bob Goodlatte has opposition come November. That being said, I'm not going to do it myself, but
come on, Joshua.
I'll tell you how you do it. You want to go ahead and shoot out a mass email and a Facebook post looking for a candidate to challenge him. That's what you want to do. Get a couple people in there who are interested, and then pick the best one. That's what you want to do. Help them get their campaign set up, their website going, the filing taken care of, walk them through every step of the way, man, and then have other people just encourage them. Thank them for running.
Yeah.
It's surprising what just this little encouragement will do for someone.
No, definitely. I mean, like I said, running for 2 years, a lot of times you feel like it's a selfless, time and money pit. You put so much time, money, and effort into it, and even when you're not running, especially when you don't have like a campaign manager and all these other, volunteers and such that the major parties have, it's a mental strain. It's very stressful, and So, anybody, Mark, you plan on running this year? Andy?
I won't be running this year. I am So I'm chairing the Libertarian Party up here in Northern Virginia, and we are getting on. We're getting onto candidate recruitment pretty seriously. We've got, it turns out, some Fairfax City local elections in March, and then we've got 2 congressional races, handful of local races in November. So slowly but surely, I wish I could get it rolling faster than it is. Getting that email ready, and that's the idea. We're so close here to Washington that people are really interested in the presidential race, and we just want to keep picking up activists, picking up liberty-minded people with our local races, just kind of build off of that.
Now, which congressional district or districts are you in or around there?
I'm in 8, and then LP Nova also has 11. So that Don Byers' seat and Jerry Connolly's seat. We used to claim 10, but that Loudoun County now has their own affiliates. So we let them handle it.
Okay.
Hey, Trump and Bernie are killing the New Hampshire primary right now.
Really?
What's the percentages?
Trump's at 34%, Bernie's at 53%. But there's
Kasich.
only 3% reporting, so.
Yeah, I'm showing Kasich in second and Bush in third.
Yeah, that's crazy. Please clap, guys.
Well,
please clap.
And of course, if these numbers hold true, I mean, Rubio is going to be in a world of hurt, I think. I figured he would be sort of the first established Republican.
You see that somebody was dressed up as a robot and had like a sign that said #RobotRubio up in New Hampshire.
They were getting beat up too. The Rubio.
Yeah, I saw that.
Guys, yeah, I thought that was awesome, man. Because if you think that Obama's not doing this on purpose, Obama is totally doing this on purpose.
Good response, Michael.
Yes.
No, I've always, all the debates, listen to him, he just sounds like he just gives a generic canned response to everything. It doesn't matter. I mean, it has something to do with the issue, but he always kind of goes back and says about Obama, and he does this and that. And it's just he sounds just like a record on repeat and just a broken record. It's just hilarious listening to him.
Yeah, but he's so smooth, man.
Yeah, he's drinking water bottles and he's sweating on stage.
Oh, jeez.
So,
he just loves war too much, and if he didn't love war so much, I could forgive the roboticness.
if he didn't love war.
I could forgive him for being a robot if he wasn't so obsessed with fighting wars everywhere in the world.
Yeah, he definitely every single time it's something about terrorism and how Obama's failed and it's Obama's fault, and that's pretty much his response to everything. All right, well, we'll keep an eye out on that. If y'all just keep an eye on, you can interject about the results. But let's move on to Austin Petersen supposedly being hacked or DDoS'd. He posted a video about this earlier today. One of his live things, which like we said, we always give him credit for being social media savvy and really good at that. But supposedly, what?
I said we can stop. Like he's just been still doing these damn videos. Like, give me something new, give me something different.
But supposedly he got hacked, or he's being DDoSed, and so he's telling people not to donate on his website, and he's giving out PayPal for donations and everything like that. I don't know the exact circumstances, but supposedly he has a CTO, which if the CTO knew anything, they just get like Cloudflare or something like that to prevent the DDoS, But obviously the CTO doesn't really know much.
I have trouble buying it. Like, I know that the guy's delusional. Who has a motive to DDoS Austin Petersen's website? Who cares?
Hey man, it's conspiracy. it's the libertarian NAP establishment.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's Karen Ann Harlos.
Yeah.
She's the one who is hacking his site.
That's
Not
probably it, man.
That's insane. And so the other thing, besides the fact that there was an Examiner article covering a poll hosted on palmbeachlibertarian.wordpress.com, and they're like headlines: Austin Petersen leading LP polls because of this thing on a free WordPress URL website.
Yeah.
Comes out and is putting out press releases saying that he's raised more money than anyone in the quarter before Gary Johnson got in.
Before Gary Johnson came in.
Okay, yeah.
Gary Johnson got in, and I mean, he's raised already about 10,000 or something.
Yeah, he's doing well. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be Gary because it's going to be Gary, and it was always going to be Gary. Unfortunately, to some degree, but he's a good guy. He's a good mantle holder.
Speaking of that, something that I think would be one of the best things that could ever happen here is if we could do a draft Ron Paul movement. Not Rand, but Ron. Harkening back to '88. I mean, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Is there any way we can make that happen?
Yeah, but he's like 110, dude.
Yeah.
Well, he's 80, isn't he? I know he's old. Yes,
he's old. I don't think a campaign. You could see him just wearing down in 2012.
Yeah.
And that's just too much on him. He's he's gone too old.
But he wouldn't necessarily have to do anything. Like, he could stay at home. He could record his little Peace and Prosperity Foundation videos and just be Ron Paul and have his name on the ballot.
Yeah, I mean that would be fine with me, because I mean ideologically he's I think a fantastic fit. I mean, better than anybody I've seen of the libertarian choices thus far.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michael? You want to petition Ron Paul to get on the ballot?
Oh, no. I don't want to do it. We've got Gary Johnson. That's what's probably going to end up being at the national convention. I don't see anyone really contending or coming up close. There'll be a split between some of the minor candidates. But I don't know, man. Unless Austin Petersen can really get the people to show up at the convention, who knows? But, yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think Steve Corbell's really just lost steam after that letter, that he published a few weeks ago. I haven't really seen much. Really haven't not much enthusiasm around this campaign. And you could even look at the Texas LP Texas presidential poll, the pay to play to go speak at their convention. They're taking the top 5 donation people for the convention. Gary Johnson, no surprise, is up top. Mark Feldman's in second with a very even $1,000 donation. It sounds like he might have just donated that to himself. Anyway, then it's Austin Petersen in third. Rhett Smith in fourth, and then Shauna Sterling, which I've never heard of, in fifth. Have you heard of Shauna Sterling?
Yeah, I have. I've been to go to her website, and then what you do, there's like a little happy face that's kind of turned to the side. Click on that, and that takes you to her private blog. Holy crap, man!
Well, I know I'm going after this podcast.
She's just very conservative and ISIS and like all kinds.
How did she get fifth? I've never heard of her. Is she from Texas?
No, she's like from Kentucky or something.
But yeah, so I'm wondering, where did the donations go? Are they asking people to donate to LP Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a donation to LP Texas. It's sort of like a fundraising thing for them, and it's essentially a pay to play. Top 5 people will get to speak at their convention. So it's a way that they can, raise funds and then also have a straw poll for their speakers. But Mark Feldman at an even $1,000 donation line.
I believe it.
Makes me wonder.
Dude, who padded that?
I thought he only donated $5, but I guess it's not to his campaign. So. That's a lot of $5 donations. Well, that's 400 people.
Is what Texas is doing
Way to call it.
great, though? I mean, what if the idea that he who has the most money gets the right to talk? I mean, is that really what we're looking for here?
That's what it is. I mean, here, I'll put in the chat if y'all want the link to the official
Guys,
constant contact.
look, the Libertarian Party of Texas has a really bad crack habit, and they got to pay for it. They got to cover that. And this is like their last resort, man.
Yeah, and like it's an exhibition. It's like an all-star game. I mean, it doesn't matter for anything. Very few people will actually see it. I don't know. The one from Massachusetts wasn't very compelling, but it also didn't have Gary in it.
No, then that one guy showed up like halfway through it, the Derek Michael Reed or whoever. Have y'all been to his website?
Yeah.
What is
he
it? Totalitariandemocracy.com or something like that? It's interesting.
Who's the
his,
Civil War soldier?
That's Michael Reed.
That's it.
Okay.
He's got his own version of libertarianism that he made.
Totalitarian.
What is it,
That's just
Michael? Is it
scary.
What is it, Liberty or something like that? Or
Libertary or something?
I mean, there's kooky candidates on the Democrat and Republican that you never hear of, but I guess, since we're such a smaller party, the kooks get a much bigger platform, and so it looks like the Rhett Smith, who I have no clue. I saw him on the LP website, but I have no clue about him, and then Shauna Sterling. They're going to be at the Texas Convention speaking.
Wow, it's going to be interesting. I hope they record that. I've got the Washington Convention the same weekend, so I won't be able to see it.
Who's speaking at yours?
No, we have a bunch of local candidates, actually, that we're promoting. And then
good.
Johnny Rocket from the Johnny Rocket Launchpad, and then Robin Kerner from Blue Republican speaking. But we're taking this opportunity to promote all our local candidates. And the guys who won last year, we had 5 candidates who won in 2015. Got to build these guys up.
Sounds good, man. I think, when's the Virginia convention?
Second week in March, I think. Second weekend in March. We've got. I know Gary's going to be there, and
March 4th and 5th.
4th and 5th.
Yeah, I was invited to be part of speak and part of like a panel, but I haven't heard back. You were invited too?
Yeah, Dr. Lark, but yeah. I haven't heard.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one that hasn't heard back.
Yeah. No, I'll be there. It'll be good. Like I said, Gary and Daryl Perry. And I got a lot of respect for Daryl Perry. He's a good guy. He's not a presidential candidate. I respect what he's doing in the primary, keeping these guys libertarian.
Definitely. I mean, he's not presidential. You know what I mean? Like if I go off principles, it'd be Daryl Perry as a libertarian, but it's he's not very publicly presentable and not very polished. And we've discussed this several times, Michael and myself. Just not very presidential, and that's what I'm looking for. I want to stick with principles, but at the same time, you gotta find somebody that can stand up in front of people and address them and make libertarianism, where they can consume it. So.
Yeah. They're all great people. There's no doubt about that. They're all libertarian. So
I doubt that. For a few of them.
Yeah, man.
Even Austin Petersen?
Hey, I'm being nice, all right?
Hey, how about Shauna Sterling or Rhett Smith or...
So quick Google turns up that Shauna Sterling was pretending that she was running in the Republican primary for a while, and now she just switched over.
Yeah, she was running as a Republican.
I bet that'll be interesting. All right, so let's get to, as Carl Lozer said, less temporary things, and let's talk about something that's more principle-based, I guess. And what are y'all thoughts about legalizing sex work?
Hey, you know what? I think any man or woman who wants to give discount blowjobs on Tuesday should be allowed to do that.
How about Wednesday?
Wednesday too, whatever day of the week they want. Doesn't matter to me. Hey, as long as it's consensual and the sex worker is not being there under duress or under force by any means, and totally cool with me.
How about you, Andy? What about condoms? You don't want to have a condom discussion?
So that's like another corollary, because I recently left all of these libertarian Facebook groups for just that reason, because all of a sudden you put up with something on let's legalize sex work and it just devolves into like our condoms coercion or something.
Well, Libertarian Party USA Facebook group is
it's horrible.
Not yeah.
By Jeff Smith.
By Jeff Smith.
Although I love anarchy ball comments. But back to our actual topic. We should be decriminalizing sex work, legalizing sex work. As long as it's consensual and there's no force, go for it. We want sex workers to be able to get help. We want them to be able to do their work in a safe place, in a safe environment, and to be able to protect themselves while doing it. And that's what legalization and decriminalization is. I think you see a lot of the really far left human rights organizations are now starting to come out in favor of decriminalizing sex work. A lot of feminist groups now are, although they've got their own internal issues, usually generational. Go for it. Carl's right.
Well, definitely. I mean, I think that anything that's consensual, that's voluntary exchange or association, should be legalized. This allows for them to work. I mean, it's always going to happen. That's the thing. Whenever you prohibit something, all it does is you drive it underground. You raise the costs, and there's so many other things that go, just like with the drug war, just like with alcohol prohibition. If you prohibit it, it's still going to find its way. People are not going to stop doing that. People are still going to pay for sex. People are still going to try to make money through sex. So why not just legalize it? Allow people to be entrepreneur about it. You can cut down STDs. You can cut down crime associated because you don't have Johns and everything. There's just a lot of good beneficial things that come around from legalizing anything that's voluntary. And of course, being a libertarian, I'm for that. So how about you, Joshua?
First of all, I guess I should say I find the idea of sex work rather immoral, just to throw that out there. It's not the easiest topic to really address. I'm not quite sure what to say about that, so that's why I've just sort of been here in the background.
Dude, I'm gonna propose, or I'm gonna say that sex work already exists in this country, and it's already legal. You gotta take her to freaking dinner, right? You gotta pay for the drinks and the food, and you gotta take her to a movie.
You gotta set up a camera, right?
Jeez, it already exists.
Losing my train of thought.
It might be more expensive and time consuming too. Look at the opportunity cost of going out to a movie and dinner and whatever else. It's costly, right?
Oh man, we got work to do. We got all this time to waste.
Got to take some GSD, some canned air, right?
There you go.
Little product plug there for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, people are gonna do it. They gotta be safe while they're doing it. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I don't know if you guys have seen part of the kind of emerging discussion on decriminalizing, legalizing sex work is about people with disabilities. If you've got a serious disability, it's hard to have sexual contact, to have sexual relationships with people, and a lot of times if a person wants to, satisfy that part of their life, their options is with sex workers. Sometimes that means traveling to Amsterdam as a seriously disabled person. I don't think there's any reason to threaten force against people who want to help the disabled or something like that,
I mean, just wait. There's going to be sex robots here shortly, so we can just cut out all the STDs and the whatever else you want, and you have sex robots, and there you go. You can just buy yourself a personal robot. Well,
We could
what do you
get
think,
into,
Andy?
like, philosophical shit about all of that. But yeah, Carl's right. We're gonna stick with Carl on this one. I wouldn't always do that, but I think in this situation we can. Maybe we'll get like a Carl's Corner. We'll do a big issue every 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, I'm always been about it. It's just that nobody's ever really. I'm glad he brought it up. If Carl was here, I'd be like, we don't need the state coercion and anarchy and voluntary association. So he would definitely be for sex work, of course. So, but we want to definitely discuss that. I mean, what premise do you think that it should be prohibited? And anybody have any views that it should be prohibited? Joshua, I know you said you thought it was immoral.
Yes.
I don't think any of us really think it is immoral or moral or otherwise. But even if it is immoral in your view,
yes.
Being a libertarian, it doesn't mean you need to condone it.
Well, sure.
But,
sure.
Shouldn't you allow that voluntary association and exchange?
Well, there are a lot of things that people do that I don't choose to do for myself, of course. Say, for example, smoking tobacco. That's a perfectly legal activity. I'm not sure if I necessarily classify that as immoral. I would say that's probably not the wisest decision one could make for one's body. But I guess the question one needs to ask with any of these things is it the proper role of government to step in and say, hey, I don't like you doing this, so why don't I get the government to prevent you from doing so? So, the question is, is the greater evil getting the government involved and saying, hey, stop this, or we're going to put you in jail or fine you or what have you? And, that's in most situations that's not really the best solution to any of these.
Well, I'd say probably in every situation.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're doing something that
should the government do this? Nope. No.
Well, if you're doing something obviously that hurts your neighbor or in some form or fashion without their consent, then I think there is a role for the government to step in and say, hey, you can't destroy your neighbor's property, your neighbor's life, your neighbor's liberty, all that sort of thing, of course.
So let's talk about what would happen when it gets legalized, because it will happen. It's just a matter of time. I remember talking about cannabis legalization like this as well. It's just a matter of time before it's legal in all 50 states. People are moving more towards a free society, but what's going to happen? If you take a look at cannabis legalization in Washington State, it's not legal, right? You can't grow your own. That's a felony. You can't share your cannabis with other people, right? There's a 74.5% tax on it at the retail level when you add all 4 levels of taxation to it, right? So if you make sex work legal, we have to also think about the legislation that's going to come with it. Are these representatives going to require a 24-hour surveillance in every brothel in every room, right, with recording constantly? They do that at cannabis stores and at Tier 1, 2, and 3 producer processors. There's recording on every inch of those facilities all the time. Are they going to require that? They're going to require information on every person that uses the services like they do with tattoos here in Washington State. There's a database of everyone who gets a tattoo. Yeah. What are they going to require? What are they going to add to it? Are they going to tax these jobs to death like they're doing with cannabis, right? Is it going to be a 75% sin tax, added on top of this?
That's the thing. I mean, nothing's ever 100% legal. It's like it's controlled and they tax it all to where they try to make you not do it. And I can see some, maybe, the video camera footage. They could have some sex workers with GoPros, or something like that. Imagine some state workers watching the footage.
Oh dear.
There's all sorts of interesting questions when it comes into the realm of sex work in the bedroom, and what happens if you're recording people having sex? What happens when the government feels like it needs to take a more active role in consensual sexual relations because it's trying to regulate commercial sexual regulations? Is that dinner now part of a commercial sex act, or is it only if you get a really good lawyer and then it can become one? So that's really fascinating to me. I don't think I completely thought through the way that those regulations would go, or even the affirmative consent movement and things like that. It's a lot of college campuses right now moving towards affirmative consent laws, or laws, what have you. I don't know where it goes. That's a little bit scary though. It's not as easy to do as do you have a cannabis plant in your house?
That's whenever you get the government involved, even with legalization, there's so many hoops and hurdles and so many restrictions, and like Michael was saying, even though it's legal in Washington, right, or even Colorado, there's still restrictions on how it can be done. You can't grow it in Washington. I think you can have a couple plants in Colorado, but there's so many different restrictions that are placed, and it's not truly legal. It's not truly free. You're not free to, grow the plants and do as you please with them. But and if you decide to sell them, then you have to, you're taxed out of this ridiculous tax rates because the sin tax that they try to make you not consume or partake in that.
And that's horrible, but it's better than prohibition.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
It's definitely better, but definitely want to see true true legalization, legalization without taxation and without restrictions. That'll be the real end goal, at least in my perspective. I like to get government out of any and every facet of my private life or anybody else's private life, whether I agree with the action or the substance or whatever. I don't want to see government get involved, because usually when the government gets involved, it messes it up. It makes it something where taxation's involved, and you get guns involved, and you get jail and other punishments involved. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then you got the prostitute database that they're going to set up, and you have to be certified and trained by the government. 16 hours certification.
Got to get a license.
In the brothel school.
Could you imagine, you got to have 2 years of trade school, and you got to get your license and certificate, and you got to pay yearly renewal. You got to do continuing education, like you do have to, like in real estate and other things that are restricted. Could you imagine
Dude, yeah,
having seminars? You get free CE if you go to the sex seminar.
I can see that, man. You get a bachelor's degree in sex work with an associate's in interracial commingling, or I don't know.
Specializations. University of Phoenix is proud to present sex work degree. You can do it from home.
Oh, jeez. No, the Ron Jeremy School of Pornographic Films or Sex Work will pop up.
Oh man. Well, that kind of goes in Ron Jeremy being into porno. What is about this in California or LA where they're making them use condoms, and so the actual porn industry is moving out to Las Vegas and Miami, because they're forcing them, if it's filmed in California, they have to be wearing a condom and everything like that. So it's just another example of government getting involved into industries and making it not what it was. I just want to see University of Phoenix sex work programs. That's what I want to see.
Awesome, man. What's the next topic?
I don't know. I think that's about all the topics I got. Unless y'all have something.
What else do we get? We'll kill 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes left.
Well, so Gary was supposed to have a Google Hangout tonight. He like rescheduled it 3 different times and then canceled it.
Oh, really?
Does
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're learning because they didn't work last time.
Yeah.
When nobody
Yeah.
showed up or something?
And people would show up, but I don't
Anybody
know.
going to ISFLC?
Possibly. I've been there the last 2 or 3 years now, and it's been a pretty good experience. Yeah,
International Students for Liberty. Yeah, I'm planning on it. I've already bought my ticket. Even though I probably could get a press pass, I should have.
Yeah. What are you doing? You don't buy a ticket, you get a press pass.
I'm going to contact him. I'll get a press pass. We'll have a Freedom Gulch table for interviews, and we can all be there. And
Oh my.
So I talked with Jason Stapleton from the Jason Stapleton Show this morning, and he's going to be there, so you guys got to make sure and meet him.
Yeah.
Do
I'll be
you-
there like passing out free LP memberships. I think that's what we did last time.
Nice.
Do you know, it's funny, when I was signing in to get my press pass, guess who I ran into at the conference last year? Anyone? Austin Petersen. he was there as well. That was actually my first time actually speaking to him in person.
Do you want us to clap? Or
was he as much of a tool in person as he is online?
Yes, to quote Jeb Bush, please clap. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
I've never met the guy in person. I've just seen his Facebook posts and watched his videos.
We'll be seeing him at the Libertarian Convention.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to that.
I'll get an interview with him.
What do we think? Google Hangout presidential debate, Will?
That's what we're talking about. I like to maybe closer to the convention, invite the candidates, top 5 or 7 or something like that. We'll look into the criteria for that, but probably the top 5 or so, and do like a Google Hangout, debate, and maybe we'll have questions, be actually prepared for it, and and maybe we'll have each person ask different questions. But I like to make it fair where everybody gets, because you watch these Democrat and Republican debates, and a lot of people get missed out on certain questions, or they get asked like questions sort of, but it's kind of a different spin to it. So definitely want to get some good questions and ask everybody the same question, so that everybody has a fair, sort of like with my interviews that I did earlier last month. Just give everybody an equal opportunity to answer the same questions.
Word.
So I'll be probably reaching out to them the next month or so about setting that up.
Yeah,
I'll let y'all know, of course.
I think the top 5 would probably be the most you'd want on there.
Yeah, I don't want to be too many people, and
Yeah.
I guess we could do it for, I don't know. What do you think? 2 hours? Hour and a half, 2 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Y'all want to be some of the commentators on it, asking questions?
I'd probably be down. Channel my inner Megyn Kelly.
Austin Petersen, Trump to your Megyn Kelly.
Yeah. Just make sure you don't have blood coming out of your, whatever.
And on that note,
Good way to end it, right?
yeah. All right. Well, we'll be having this again in 2 weeks, and have hopefully another 3 or 4 people. Looks like Mark left us. He must have been having some audio issues. Looks like he was having some weird audio issues where he's having some sounds and then he wasn't saying anything. So we'll be coming back in 2 weeks and be looking out for presidential debate in, I don't know, 2 months or something like that. So, all right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Have a nice night.